Greetings, YouTube. There has been a bit of a controversy involving a Mexican sports reporter, one Ines Sainz. Apparently, while she was doing some interviews with the New York Jets, she was sexually harassed. She did not actually hear the comments, but another reporter did, spoke to her about it. She got very uncomfortable with the entire situation. I mean, she's surrounded by these very large men. And just really didn't like the atmosphere she suddenly found herself in. An NFL spokesperson apologized to Miss Sainz, and she accepted the apology. So they're investigating it, I guess. The NFL is investigating it, and there's a possibility that there may be some repercussions for the team members because this probably violates some kind of NFL code or another. But the reporter herself seems to be okay with the situation. And that's fine. Somebody apologized. She felt it was sincere. She accepted it. That's good. Okay? This is the way that things should be resolved in the real world. But I have actually discovered something about this whole controversy that really bugs the crap out of me. And that seems to be people's reaction to whether or not she should have been upset that she had been sexually harassed. As I've mentioned in the past, where I have my breaks in the cafeteria, I happen to listen to the Headline News channel. I have no choice. It cannot be changed. I cannot turn it off. It's just on 24/7. And the talking heads were going on and on about this particular story and discussing how, was she harassed? Was she not harassed? And a lot of the attitudes from men and women on this little talk show, it was like there was two of each, I think, two guys and two women, seems to be that because the way she was dressed, that she should have been expecting sexual harassment. Because the way she was dressed, she was then somehow responsible for the actions of other people who she had no control over and no authority over. That doesn't make any sense. Not even for the talking heads on Headline News. These people are all on crack. That is one of the most misogynistic things I have heard in years. How a woman is dressed has no bearing whatsoever on whether someone sexually harasses her. A woman should never be sexually harassed. A man should never be sexually harassed. How a person dresses should have no bearing whatsoever on the actions of another person. All right? She could have been standing in that locker room naked, and it wouldn't have justified anyone making any comments to her of a sexual nature. How someone is or is not dressed does not matter. What matters is that you, the person observing the person around you and how they're dressed, are in complete control of your thoughts and your mouth. And if you cannot control yourself, walk away. If you are incapable of being civilized amongst other civilized members of society, then isolate yourself. Just walk away. Because if you can't maintain a level of decorum, of civility about you, frankly, I don't want you around. Harassing someone just because you want to, because the way they dress justifies it in your head, is a really abysmally poor way of looking at the world. It does not speak well of you. It does not speak well of the talking heads that were on Headline News. I mean, I've heard this kind of excuse used for rape victims. Oh, she was dressed in a slutty way. That's why she got raped. No, she got raped because some violent asshat attacked her. Had nothing to do with the way she was dressed. It has to do with the fact that Sometimes there are people in our society that cannot control themselves, either verbally or physically. And that's the issue. Those people. You don't blame the victims, folks. You don't say the victim brought it on themselves, that somehow because she dressed a certain way, she justified rude comments from some football player. I was disgusted by this discussion on Headline News, and I'm disgusted by the quote-unquote backlash against this reporter. I don't care if she's attractive or not. I don't care if she likes to use her sexuality, which people have said she does. Big deal. It doesn't mean you have the right to say something to her like that. Now, if you have a relationship with her, cool. But if you're just some strange guy walking down the street and you start whistling or start making rude comments and gestures, you're an asshat. Plain and simple. And if then someone else comes along and says, okay, that guy was justified in what he was doing, well, guess what? You're an asshat too. People should be able to do their jobs and walk down the street and live their lives without having to worry that if they don't dress a certain way, they're going to be harassed. I'm disgusted with everybody involved in this frigging thing. But mostly with the Headline News talking heads. They should know better. They work in the media. They know how this works. They spend all their days looking into a camera and having their voices recorded. They know that the comments they make are going to come back against them if they're stupid. And the comments they made last night on that news program were stupid. So I hope they have some repercussions for that. I really do. I'm hoping somebody from Headline News sees this. Maybe one of them will wake up and realize, maybe we shouldn't blame the victim in this case. So, I ask you, do you ever think how a person dresses affects the actions and behaviors of others? Do you think it justifies those actions and behaviors? I'm curious. I'd like to know what you have to say.